All right, this is getting me. Ugh.
From the shot, it looks like I have an awful lot of donkeys and goats, and that could be true.
Okay, so we're gonna get into my top 5 miniature cattle breeds. These are going to be the points that we're going to be referencing. How do we gauge, who gets the top 5? Size, of course, ease of care, personality. We'll go into milking a little bit, not super hardcore, and we're not really going to go into the meat thing at all, just because I don't keep cattle for meat. If anyone who knows me knows that I've been a vegetarian since I was preteen, and that's just not an aspect of cattle I get into. However, we can acknowledge that, and I don't have any problem with people doing that. This is just something that's not an aspect of. I don't know anything about it, but I have some fantastic friends who are cattlemen and women, and I have great love and respect for them. Suffice to say, these are the things that are important. Cute factor. Incredibly important. Personality, I'm looking for like pets, pasture ornaments, how great they look, also a factor. That's different than cute factor. Let's see, size, how hard they are on the land, depending on how much land we have. We're going to be kind of considering for this aspect, for small landholders, because a lot of times people can just get full-size cattle and it's no big deal. But if you're like a small landholder looking for a small cow, miniature cows are the way to go. And I have experience with several different breeds, and there's some breeds too I don't have experience with yet, but I would like to, and they're also going to be in the top 5. So let's get into it.
By the way, my name is Holly, and I have been working with miniature cattle for 8 years, and I've kind of gone back and forth with there's a donkey about to knock my camera over. I don't know why this is happening. Come here, girl. We use donkeys for livestock guardians, and they're miniature donkeys, and we keep 2 jennies in this pasture, and I've got another one in the jewel pasture over there. So before I actually physically raised the miniature cattle, I studied them and researched them for years and years and years. I read everything I could, and I talked to every miniature cattle farmer I could. And what I learned was that it's very nice to kind of have a general idea of what you're looking for, but real life, real life hands-on experience is the most valuable thing. So you're not necessarily going to have a chance to raise all 5 of these types of cattle. I haven't even in the amount of time I've raised cattle.
So number 5 in the top 5 miniature cattle breeds, as far as I'm concerned, Dexter cattle. They hail from the Kerry region of southwestern Ireland. A lot of miniature cattle have been bred down with other breeds to make them the size they are. Dexter are one of the breeds that they'll breed down. Like they'll make, like, for instance, everyone knows Black Angus cattle. I think it's the most popular breed in America. They'll make those low-line cattle, which are really, nice, easy keeping cattle, but they'll cross those with Dexter. And a lot of cattle breeds have been crossed with Dexter in order to make the smaller breeds. What's interesting about Dexter is they call them like a utilitarian breed. If you're wanting something that you can milk or do the meat thing with, that's your breed. And they're actually pretty adequate milkers. There's a thing with milk, and you can kind of dive deep into this, but there's A1, A2. People who have milk sensitivities or dairy sensitivities often want like an A2 cow. And so you can get your cows tested to see if they carry that gene, and it makes it easier for milk to be consumed by people who are maybe lactose intolerant in some way. They say that most Dexter cattle are A2 just naturally. So, that's a pro in the milking side for Dexter cattle. But Dexter, I would say, are mostly, oh, here comes a train. We'll wait. I don't even remember where the train was, like 10 minutes long. We have a train that runs behind our pasture. And ideally, I don't like to film out here during the day, but there's too many people in my house that are very loud. So dealing with a train like once an hour is gonna make this process quicker. And also we get to have Dee Dee in the background. And so she is a miniature Scottish Highland, which is the next cow on our list. Okay, so we were talking about the A2 thing, right? Okay, so you can milk them, but because they're mostly bred for the meat thing, uh, you're not gonna necessarily have like when you're like milking a cow, you want to make sure the conformity is good and the teats are easy to milk, and so you may not necessarily get you'll get an animal that was bred to be like very beefy. I think like they say with Dexter, you get 60% of the cow is like goes towards meat when you decide to if you decide to go that way. So that's a lot. That's a lot higher than a lot of dairy breeds and a lot of other breeds too. Anyway, you're not going to necessarily get one that's a great milker. That's not kind of a breed standard that you're going to find like if you are searching for a dairy cow, one that was like primarily bred for dairy. They're probably going to have really great conformity, and there are exceptions. Of course, I know people who milk Dexters and they have a great time, but it would just be something you'd have to be like extra cautious about if you wanted them for milk. So Dexters, their height is going to be 34 to 46 inches. So we're talking about 34, like some, let me get up here so you can see hip level, and then up here, so they're still a pretty small cow. Reasons why I like Dexters for miniature cows: their weight is about, and we're doing weight by the cow's weight because bulls always just weigh so much more. But the cows, they're saying they weigh between like 600 and 900 pounds. I feel like that's pretty accurate. They are short, but they're still kind of big cows. Super, super cute. They have like very, very easy time calving, and that's really important. And I see people, like the people I know who graze them, they don't even like have shelter. They have trees, and they're just very thrifty, and Dexters can hang. So number 5, Dexters are just a super nice, well-rounded miniature cow. And I mean, I would have one if I had more land, but I don't. So I don't have. So there's other things that are on my list, which are the remaining 4. So we'll get into that. Number 4 on my list of top 5 miniature cows is going to be the miniature Scottish Highland. And I know you're thinking, whoa, 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 why wouldn't that be number 1? Because they're so great and they're all over Instagram and everyone loves them and they're the cow of the moment. Like you walk into like Target and you can find yourself a picture of a cow like Miss Dee Dee here, and who's just like with the big horns, and they're just, they're the cow of the moment. That presents several problems, and I think people who like breed dogs kind of know about that. When there's like a dog of the moment, it kind of messes with the breed standard. Okay, Scottish Highland are pretty big cows. I'm gonna say, your average Scottish Highland, they're kind of tall, and they're, I don't know, 1,200 pounds. It's a big cow. So now everyone is saying, oh, we've got miniature Scottish Highland. This is the new thing, oh, the miniature Scottish Highland. And they've bred down the cows to where they can get conformity of size. And so let's say if they can attain the size of a miniature, which is their ideal, miniature is 500 to 800 pounds. Now, that is really small compared to a full-size Scottish Highland. However, that's still a really large animal. This is my problem with Scottish Highland. It's not their cutie cute fuzzy faces, because I've had several of these and I love them, and I've got Dee Dee, I've had her forever, and even before they were like the hot cow in the market, I paid a pretty penny for her, and she's I've just always loved her. But I got her, and the person I got her from, very well known in the cattle industry, and very he shows miniature cows, and this guy knows what he's doing. He said this cow is one of the smallest of all Scottish Highlands I've ever seen, of the miniature ones. And I was like, well, okay. And I just bought her I was buying another cow from him, and I saw pictures of her, and I was like, that's who I want. So when she arrived on the trailer, I looked in the trailer and I was like, oh my gosh, that cow is a Mack truck. I don't have any cows this big. This cow is massive. And she is, compared to miniature Zebu, which I had miniature Zebu, and at the time I had some Jerseys, and I think I had some, kind of weird cross cows, that I'd just gotten at the auction house when I used to do that, which I don't advise. So Dee Dee unloads, and she is when she stands next to me, and I'll see if I can get a video of her standing. I don't want to bug her too much because it's the heat of the day, and this is where she likes to chill. But when she's standing, she's maybe here on me, maybe with her top of her head, and so her back is here. But she is long. I drive a 4Runner. She's longer than my car. This is a big, big animal. Her feet are massive. I mean, just every part of her is huge, except for she has little stumpy legs. So there are different types of miniature cows. So her body seems the size of a normal Scottish Highland, but she has short legs. And I'm assuming, I have not had her tested, but she would have some sort of like dwarfism gene or something. Doesn't affect her. She's still a miniature Highland. But you know, the miniature Highland breeders I know now, they're saying basically they can come in a lot of different sizes, and you have smaller ones and you have larger ones. And you know, they're more valuable with the smaller parents. All that being said, you have these smaller parents who have these calves that are miniature Highland. In my experience, I've seen this happen multiple times. You get this little cute little fuzzy Highland calf and you're paying exorbitant amounts of money for it. It grows up and it's that big. And you're like, what happened to the miniature? And what I don't like about this is that people are buying them because they're cute little fluff balls, and they definitely are. And like the first 2 years, I guess, you're gonna have this like cute little fluffy thing, and they're gonna get really big, and they're really, really hard on your pasture. Like, I love my Dee, but she eats, when I need to like grain my zebu extra, she eats so much. She eats the same amount, like almost like 10 zebu could eat. She's incredibly hard on the pasture, and even just like poops, you know. Okay, so like her poops are like that big. You know, zebu poops are really small. I'm gonna say more like Great Dane size. So she can tear a pasture up like nobody's business. So if you're getting a miniature Scottish Highland, if you're so lucky to find a breeder and you know that doesn't have like a several year waiting list, and they're saying, I will sell you this cow, and you have the money and you've got the acreage to support this cow, by all means, they're wonderful. They have fantastic dispositions, but I have the caveats, which are really just this little fluff ball of a cow that you want, and you want it to be a pet, is not going to stay that small. Even if they stay small in breed standard, that's still really, really large for a miniature cow, in my opinion. So take it for what it's worth, but I've had several of them, and like I say, I've had Dee Dee for a really long time, and fantastic animals, not super small when they're grown. And I know there are some people who can get these cows to be in the, what was the range, the 500 and 800 pound range. There's not that many of those, and even so, that's still not that small. But they're wonderful cows, and they look like what I wanted to do on my farm. If I had more acreage, I might still consider it, but I love the way they look so much. If I could figure it out where there was a bull that was small enough to be with my ladies, I would use like a Scottish Highland bull. But instead, I've got a Scottish Highland cow, and I breed her with a zebu bull, and then so she gives, you know, smaller little zebu Highland cross calves. Sometimes they're really, really furry, and then sometimes they're not. They're always like more furry than like a zebu. But a lot of times, like, you know, you want her calf, summer in the South, you want her calves to be like super fuzzy little fuzz balls that are really small. That's not the case. Scottish Highland between 36 and 34 for the miniatures, and so we're within this range. Back height, and I can, you know, I'll show you Miss Dee Dee. So this is me and Dee side by side, and you can see she's short, but she is long. Whenever she has babies, like every now and again, I'd say, let's see, I've seen her for 6 calving seasons, and maybe like 2 of them were very, very fluffy. The other ones were also very cute, but just like they didn't have the extra fluff. So that is number 4 on the list, miniature Scottish Highland, with an emphasis on they're not that small. So number 3 on the list of my top 5 miniature cows breeds. Number 3 is the belted Galloway. Have you seen these cows? Because they're so cute. So belted Galloway are 44 inches, and they measure the height, like for miniature zebu, they measure it like kind of behind the hump. So that's like where their back is. So that's still a pretty tall cow for being a miniature. Just, you know, comparing all the miniature cows, you know, on our list. They originate from southwestern Scotland, and there's the full-size Galloway cows, but so they've been bred to have this lovely belt around their midsection. So they're black on either sides, and people call them like the Oreo cows a lot of times, which is very, very cute. But they have this white belt. What I have noticed from the Belted Galloway herds that I've seen is that the belt is not always perfectly surrounded. Like, you have broken belts is what they call it. As far as I'm concerned, they're still super, super cute. But if you're like very like wanting their, you buy well-bred Belted Galloway cows and you want to have this cow that has this perfect white belt in the middle every time, that's an illusion. It's not true. It's a breed standard that's really nice, and if you can get that, rocking. But a lot of times there's a break in the belt and it's not perfectly even. They're still cute, so it doesn't really matter. But a lot of them are. Like, I've seen, there's a herd at the street from me, and I tried to buy them, and by the time I saw them, they already like had someone come in to look at them, and the guy was like, "But I'll let you know if they don't, come." And so I was like, "Oh man, I hope that guy doesn't pick them up because I really want this herd." And they had like, it was like 2 bulls, 4 cows, and they had 2 calves, and I just can't think of anything cuter than like a whole herd of Belted Galloway, all the different kinds. But anyway, I didn't get them because the guy came and picked them up because they were a great price, and he likes cute cows, the farmer. But I've seen him up on this guy's farm. That's the thing, when you're a cattle farmer, if you live in an area for long enough, you should know all the cattle farmers in the area around you. Anyway, this guy has them like 20 minutes up the road. He's got and they're so uncommon that I know for a fact these are the same cows, and also because I've stalked the cows and I watch them grow and everything. And so suffice to say, Belted Galloway, they have a miniature Belted Galloway, and that's what makes it onto our miniature cattle list. So the full-size ones aren't actually that big in cattle world. So your full-size Belted Galloway is going to be like 1,000, 1,100, 1,300 pounds. These miniatures are going to be around 700 pounds, 700 to 900. The way they're getting the miniatures is like we talked about before. They're mixing them way back when with the Dexter to get that nice smaller size. And so, they keep breeding them back until they have all the qualities of the Belted Galloway. And it's very cool. Like, what a neat breeding program, because it's a beautiful cow. And being able to keep something like that for a smaller landholder and have this kind of lovely animal that's all purpose is pretty great. They're also a pretty thrifty cow, and they are known for like really, really lovely temperament, and they look nice. They just seem like nice cows, and you can kind of tell, like, I think if you walk up to a pasture and you can tell the energy of the cows. And this is something that I never realized. My vet told me about this, but it's going crazy. There can be a herd of cattle can have like a good head on them. They can be like real cool and calm, or they can be nuts when you take them to the vet. And so, because they're running them through the chute. And so, however if you have kind of nutty cows who kind of get crazy and try to jump fences, that will kind of get your herd to be a little bit crazier, if that makes sense. So what I've done is I've built my herd. I want cool, calm, friendly. And so if there's a cow that like charges me and they don't have a calf by their side, they're just kind of being a jerk, I'm going to not have that cow on my farm, because I've got too many kids, I've got too many small animals, and I'm not dealing with that kind of aggression when there's so many nice cows in the world. And the cows that are living on my farm, I mean, they have the golden ticket. Like, I've got cows on my farm that are 16 years old. Like, they will live here and they will have a beautiful life. But if you're like butting me and being super aggressive, you don't belong here, because you're going to change the whole dynamic of this herd. Sorry, I went off on a tangent on that. But suffice to say, the Galloways are really known for being very, very nice. And of course, I think, just when you have the regular Belted Galloways are very nice, but then you cross them with the Dexters, and, they're also known for being nice. So there won't be any of those kind of aggressive cows on our list, with the exception of, I think, number 2, the bulls are kind of aggressive, but we'll get into that. So Belted Galloways, they're a utilitarian breed, and people get them for meat mostly, but if you're looking for a pasture ornament, I would say they might be the best pasture ornament, because they're easy keepers. They're going to be happy winter and summer. And you can see, like, Dee Dee, I mean, the furry, fuzzy cows win all sorts of stuff, but she's not as comfortable as she could be. These Belted Galloways would be totally comfortable, but we're here in the summer in the south and it's humid, and like, she has like little water spritzers and stuff, but this isn't the ideal environment for Miss Dee Dee. So, saying, depending on where you live, I think Belted Galloways all around are just going to be a really nice cow for you. Number 2 on my list, and I'm like hanging out in the woods, just at least I've got Dee Dee in the background. If I turn my camera, I can show you. I've got, I mean, this might be better to have more cows in the background, but I'm not wearing sunscreen, and I think I'm not alone in the farming community. I generally like to do all my farm work in the morning and in the evening. And then, you know, I mean morning, I mean like, you know, 5 o'clock in the morning I could get going, and then, you know, do it till, I don't know, I'd say like 8:30, and then it gets really hot, and then a lot of times the animals will go up. And then in the evening, like when the sun starts to go down, like 5:30 or 6 this time of year. Because it's nonsensical to be out here when it's like super duper hot and crazy weather-wise in the south. So I do it sometimes, but that's because I wasn't on point in the morning. Suffice to say, number 2 would be miniature jerseys. Everyone knows jerseys. They're so beautiful. They have the big, beautiful brown eyes, and they are, I would say, as far as just looks go, the most beautiful cow across the board as far as like the uniformity of the breed. Like all jerseys are very, very beautiful, and I think most of the time they come in that kind of like pale brown Bambi color, but like I've had a dark brown one before, and they come in other colors, you know, varying kind of on that same color scale, but they're all very, very beautiful. Now, miniature jerseys kind of have some similar issues that the Highlands had, the miniature Highlands, but here's the good thing. So miniature jerseys, they say, oh, they're just so small and they're so easy, and it's great for a small landowner because you can get all the milk you want, and you have, you know, all the great things that you get from a Jersey. They're a British breed from the Channel Islands, so that's kind of cool too. But the miniature ones are between 500 and 800 pounds. Now, I've had standard ones and I've had miniature ones, and there's like a loud chicken coming over here. Okay, the standard ones are between 800 and 1200 pounds. Now, I don't know, you know, I have been sold a miniature jersey before, 2 of them, and they were standard. They were big, they weren't small. So the miniature jerseys, I've seen some online. There's a breeder kind of within like an hour of here, and they have a pretty long waiting list, and they are said to have actual true miniature ones. But I think it's another one of those things where everyone's so, hey, shut your pie hole. Jeez. See that chicken? Very loud. The miniature jersey are said to be that small, but 500, 800 pounds still isn't like that small. But let's say you want to have a milk cow and you don't want to be milking like 3 gallons a day. Like a standard jersey, you can really get the milk up. I mean, I know some people who get 4 gallons a day, you know, but if you're looking to do the milking schedule where you're milking twice a day and you want to get a gallon, I think that you can actually get quite a bit more than that from a miniature jersey. I think you can get like gallon, 2 gallons, 3 gallons, but even like when they're like, you know, not really producing heavily, you would still get a gallon, and it's that high butterfat milk that people really, really like. So you can get like the cream, and you can be making butter and cheese and all this jazz. So arguably, I think people would say, you know, Holsteins or Jerseys, like who's the better milk cow? Holsteins are gigantic. Jerseys are also pretty big. So it's an argument that I'm not getting into because I'm not milking a cow now. But when I did choose the milk cow, I chose a Jersey. And the reason why is because Holsteins are beautiful, but they're massive. And a massive cow is going to be so much harder on the land and takes more feed. And I'm not trying to like get like 10 gallons a day. For my household, like a gallon a day would have sufficed back then. And I'm actually considering getting a Jersey now from one of our local dairies. I don't think I'll go miniature. One of the reasons why, I think I could probably get a smaller calf and be within the same inch range. The miniature jerseys, you know, are up there in price, whereas a regular jersey, especially if you get like a bottle baby, they're not. Miniature jerseys are more expensive than full-size jerseys. There are big jerseys, there are small jerseys. You know, if you're getting a miniature, it's a different thing. But miniature jerseys, number 2 on the list. Did I forget anything about them? Okay, height-wise, I wasn't even getting into height, but the height is 36 to 42 inches. They have mid-size miniatures, 42 to 48 inches. The full-size jersey is going to be around 62 inches. You know, I don't know. I mean, let's say like when I had my jerseys, the ones I've had they're like here to me, and you know, and then their backs are like here, like one was here and one was here. This one was a mid-sized miniature. This one was like a full size. And then I had one here and they said she was a regular Jersey and she was smaller than all of them. If you can breed to get your Jerseys to be all that size and to be, you know, 500, 800 pounds, rock on, you know. I've had Jerseys that were 800 pounds and I didn't pay the miniature Jersey price for them. So that's all I get to say about that. For the number one cow on our list, I'm making my way over to the number one cow. So miniature zebu are the cow that I chose for my farm. Hello girls. So this isn't all of my ladies. Oh, there's some little baby bulls in here too. But you can kind of see like where they are to me. This is a really small sized animal. I've had some of these before that were the same size as like Great Danes for a really long time. The ones that are a little bit taller are actually the ones that the size that I would be going for if I were buying more cows is like, see this black girl over here? Well, she's black and gray. Her name is Winnie. I've had her for years. She's an easy keeper. She always just like never has problems having babies, and she's very nice, and her size is just very easy. If I need to, I can put a halter on her and milk her. If I like, one year she had a calf that was too weak to stay outside and it was so cold, and so I had to halter her and milk her, and she was small enough that I could handle without getting like banged up, and she's got a great disposition too. Any bigger I'm not super interested, but this height right here is what I'm going for with my herd of miniature zebu. I love the size, and they're so easily maneuverable. And you know, I've been in a situation before where a cow has like come after me. You know, when you get ran by any animal, it's pretty, it's surprising. But when you get ran by one of these, you know it's not gonna just like take you down. I bought them based on the fact that they just have an incredible health track record. They're very easy keepers. A lot of the parasites and issues that cows have, zebus just don't have that kind of issue. Between 34 and 42 inches is kind of what the breed standard is, but you know, I mean, I've had ones that are 30 inches. Wouldn't recommend that, but 32 is pretty small. But you can, you know, like a lot of breeders have 32 to 36 inches. I really love their disposition. I think they have very sweet faces. I think they're right up there with Jerseys as far as like cute factor. They have this really great hump on the back of their shoulders. I don't know if you can see. The males will have huge ones that will get like very tall, and I'll show you my bulls. But that's just like, you know, the hump is just like, there are goats messing with my camera stand. Oh my God. You suck. Y'all suck. But really, the face shape is very, very cute. There's several different types of zebu. They can get really small for miniatures, but in general, most of them are pretty small, and we have goats because, I don't know, they're very annoying, but they're also very endearing and sweet. You're very nice. You're very nice. And I'm not sure exactly what happened with the goat thing, but I have a lot of goats now, and I didn't mean to have a lot of goats, but I have a lot of goats. Some would say more goats than I have cows, and again, I'm not sure exactly how that happened. Appreciate you watching my video, and I'm excited to be a part of your learning. I think like a lot of times farmers tend to get kind of jaded, or they assume that you know everything, or they act as if you should know things that maybe you wouldn't normally know. It's nice to say, okay, you are a very, very beginner at farming. This is the information that I think that could be, that would be beneficial to you, and would have been beneficial to me at the very, very beginning. I don't have all miniature animals. I just really enjoy the miniatures. They're really easy for me to work with as a novice farmer, because this wasn't something, I didn't grow up on a farm with cattle and donkeys and such. So it was very nice for me to be able to get the hang of things with animals that were small enough that I could work somewhat. She's like, scratch my butt. Scratch my butt, man. I appreciate you watching, and I'll have more cow content and other stuff forthcoming.